You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Revolutionary Radio Project with your host, Rob Skiba.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Welcome to the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba. While it is very, very tempting for me to discuss the events of today, I am not going to do so. We are going to have a show actually on Robbie Davidson's channel. I believe it's this Saturday. We can talk about that shortly. And we will discuss what's happening with our country at that time. In the meantime, I'm excited to bring both Robbie Davidson and Paul Lindbergh on the broadcast here. And let me go ahead and... All right. There's Paul and there's Robbie. Hey, guys.
How's it? Yeah, what a day. What a day.
What a day. And
yeah, for sure.
It's perfectly timed because, again, all this stuff that's going on, as you can see, it is going through the roof because they know that the time is short and things are about to change. Mm-hmm. So I think it is good timing, and it applies to the situation and what we're seeing unfolding around the world, but specifically with the United States.
So we have a show that we're going to do on your channel, I believe, Robbie.
Yes. Yeah, Celebrate Truth Radio this Saturday. We're going to do Is America Done? It's part 2, actually, because the first time was with Rich Hopkins, and it was really intriguing what he said was going to take place. And then having you and Rich on, and we'll do that show on Saturday, and that will be on my channel and also on Revolution Radio.
What time is that?
That will be at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 Eastern.
10 o'clock Eastern. Yeah. Celebrate Truth Radio, youtube.com/Celebrate Truth. If you're catching us on YouTube, check out the show. You can actually go there right now and you can set a reminder, and you don't want to miss that one because the first one was heated. Rob even actually had posted a thing and watched that show and put it out. But this one, I can imagine so much more has taken place since last Saturday. So it's going to be a good one.
That was a good show. If you guys haven't had a chance to see that, it's on your channel, on your YouTube channel,
Celebrate Truth. Yeah.
Check that one out. All right. So this evening we're going to be talking about crypto, and we planned this in advance. Really, after there was a panel discussion that I was on a few weeks back, and Zen and I were pretty much the only ones that were really advocating for crypto. And boy, did we get a lot of pushback on that. I got into crypto in 2017. A friend of mine told me about it. And he's like, oh, Bitcoin, this and that. He was like, I was aware of it. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know much about it. And that's when Bitcoin was worth about $1,000 at the time. And I'm like, well, I don't have $1,000. I could just start getting Bitcoin. And that's because I didn't understand when we hear coin, we think, okay, there's a thing, a coin. I got to get a Bitcoin. It's like, no, dude, you got $50, you got $100. I'm like, well, yeah. Well, why don't you just get $100 worth of Bitcoin? I'm like, what? You might get a tenth of a coin? Yeah, whatever you want. I'm like, okay, I wish now, looking back, I wish I would have paid a lot more attention to all that. And actually, I should have done like $50, a week or a month or whatever I could afford at the time. Because for those of you who are interested, let me see if I can share. How do I add that? There we go. CoinDesk right now is showing Bitcoin at $37,371.66. Wow. If I would have been, okay, looks like I just dropped off of Skype again. I guess it's not going to happen on TFR. So we will just continue here on YouTube. If I would have got like a $50 to $100 a week or a month or whatever I could afford back then, 2017, and just did that every week since 2017, I'd be doing really well right now. But that was sort of my intro to it. Just a friend of mine said, hey, you should check it out. Okay, I did. But let's go ahead and address sort of the the elephant in the room. We got people in the chat room already going off here. We got John Jones says, let's all learn how to invest in the beast system and prosper by doing so. Crypto, the currency of the AI beast that he can run personally. Nah, I'll pass. Well, can lead a horse to water, right? Look, I guarantee you, anybody who's feeling that way right now, look around you right now, wherever you're sitting, listening to us right now, wherever you're sitting, look around you. I guarantee you, somewhere next to you is something with a barcode on it. Remember when barcodes came out? And look, there's two long, skinny lines. And if you just look at the size and the width of the bars, yeah, there you go. Yeah. You can see that two long, skinny lines is the number 6. And so you have two long, skinny lines, one on either side and one in the middle. 666 with the identifier in the middle. 666, the barcode.
We're all going to die.
It's the number of the beast. You know, I got myself a bottle of water here too. There it is.
Yep.
I'm drinking the mark of the beast right now. Oh, you know, it's cashless society. Well, guess what? I bet you have a debit card in your pocket. Uh-oh. You got a credit card? Uh-oh. We've been in a cashless society since plastic came out, pretty much, you know, with the credit cards and debit cards and stuff like that. Yeah. So, Robbie, I know you've been into it the longest of the three of us here. Why don't you share with us your thoughts on this? How did you get involved with cryptocurrency? Is it the mark of the beast? Should we be concerned about that? What are your thoughts in that regard?
Well, I was a big advocate, and I still am, of precious metals, gold and silver. And, you know, looking into the fundamentals of that, when all of a sudden something came across my path saying that this was trying to replicate, kind of curious about it, I saw it, and I just started kind of diving into it and looking into it. And I'll tell you, this is going to be massive. The technology is mind-blowing. And of course, you know, as a belief just came up, but you think of all these scenarios, like who created it? Maybe there's a nefarious thing that's going on. In all my research, and quite honestly, most times when people say these things, it's a complete ignorance. I mean, if they were to actually go into a debate, someone that really truly understood blockchain technology, they'd be utterly destroyed. They've heard something. And I say, and this is what we've all said on all of our YouTube channels, do your own research. Don't just listen and hear it and it sounds good. Maybe it sounds like it's evil or the government controls it or the CIA created it. Do your own research, really look into it. Back in 2013, you know, once I got into it, I was saying these crazy things to people and they were laughing at me. I'm like, Bitcoin will be $1,000. Bitcoin will be $10,000. Bitcoin will be $100,000. And again, it continues to do that. There is nothing that we've ever seen that literally crashes 70 to 85%. The time that I've been into it, 3 times, and yet gets stronger. Today, almost at like $38,000 US. And again, that's just the start. That is like, you know, we're going to see hundreds of thousands, $1 million of Bitcoin. And I know for a lot of people tuning in, they're going, that's insane. That's crazy. You know, screenshot this, mark this show, whatever you need to do. But I might not be around. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 2-3 years. But the technology itself is really mind blowing. The whole idea of, you know, this is the mark. I will say this, that technology, whatever that technology is, can be used for good or evil. And I will bet any money that the evil system will.
Uh-oh. Paul, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm yeah. Looks like Robbie froze.
Interesting face there. That's a bummer. Yeah, everything, you know, how long were we talking to each other for, like, what, a half hour or something before we get on the air? No problem.
Yeah, everything was fine on our pre-show.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's going to come back, but then.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come back here. Maybe wonder if Robbie, if I remove him, will he come back? I could just try that and see if he'll come back, I guess, huh?
Yeah. We'll pick up where he left off, I guess.
Yeah, well, he'll try to sign back in, I'm sure. So, all right, Paul. Well, while we're waiting on him, then, how did you get into crypto?
Well, as the guy that just froze on screen, really. You know, Robbie and I, you know, we've been friends and, you know, talked often, but it was at a conference in August of 2019. Really, I'm kind of a late, you know, comer to the cryptocurrency space, but I have a background in finance. And so I really kind of took to it, you know, kind of like a fish to water. I used to be I was a financial services professional for about 10 years in a former life. And so, you know, I understood mutual funds. Hey, Robbie's back. I understood mutual fund stocks, certificates of deposit, and all of those sort of things. And so, when this crypto thing kind of came into my world, and I started kind of looking into it, then it just made a lot of sense in understanding, how we can take advantage of this stuff. But welcome back, Robbie.
Yeah.
I was just explaining, as about ready to tell the folks, kind of, it was a campfire at a conference in August of 2019 that Bitcoin came up in our conversation. I don't even remember how it kind of came up, but you probably brought it up, Robbie, because I
talked to everyone behind the scenes in those conferences. I remember we did New Zealand, and I ended up talking more about Bitcoin than the actual conference matter that night, talking to people, had a whole people around me. I was very passionate about it for many years.
Well, I obviously was, and I've seen kind of the same reaction, I think, Robbie, that I, responded to you when we spoke. I see that same reaction with my friends now when I kind of bring it up. They kind of say the same thing. They're like, hey, it's interesting you should say that. I've been hearing a lot about it. I've been meaning to look into it. What do you know? What should I do? And that sort of thing. So I get that a lot myself now in talking to friends. But after you and I spoke, and you kind of told me a little bit about how it works and what to look for, how to get started, I went back and I remember I was in my bed that night. I was on my phone creating my Coinbase account, and doing my verification and putting in my payment methods and that sort of thing. And I, bought some Bitcoin right there, and watched some of the videos that you sent me. And that's really how I began. And that was, about a year and a half or so ago. So it was, and from there, we started learning about some of the other currencies and some of the other, the Ethereum blockchain and ERC20 tokens, and then off we went. And I won't go too deep into that till we get into the second half of the show, but that's really how it began for me. So
it's total freedom. It's total freedom from financial matrix, period. Full stop. When it comes down to like protecting yourself from the system that's in place, people are like, you got to prepare. Okay, food, water, get things in place. Well, financially, you got to think about why would you be in the system? So look for other things outside of that system, gold and silver. But crypto represents true, incredible freedom. It really is brilliant. For the first time in history, this is what I say to people all the time. For the first time in history, the people have a choice on what money they want to deal with. Never in history. It's always been controlled by the government. We are entering an era where you actually can choose. There's 5,000 cryptos out there. Oh, they do all sorts of different things. The point is, you have a choice. You've never had a choice all throughout history. Why wouldn't you look into something that represents incredible freedom and brilliance? And again, these ideas of all this, naysayers, you almost need to have like a Q&A and run through them one by one, because I thought the same thing. Paul thought it as well. I'm sure Rob did, many people. And one by one, research each one of those points. And you're going to find it's decentralized. Why do you think it hasn't been taken down? Because it's centralized, is a source that basically you can kind of go and be controlled. These blockchains are absolutely uncontrollable in the sense that they are decentralized. You have to start looking into these terms and understand. I will explain this really quickly because this helps people. Think of something digital, like, for example, music, or for, a movie. We know that anything digital can be copied. We can replicate it, no problem. Think of a technology where you have something digital and it cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be duplicated. It is a mind-blowing technology. The blockchain technology, and I've been saying this for many years, it is bigger, the technology itself is bigger than the internet itself. And you're like, what are you talking about? It will literally transform so many different industries. Again, it's a technology that can be used for good or evil. Evil will definitely use the blockchain technology, but there is many amazing cryptocurrencies that are the furthest thing from evil. Why? They're going to basically set up a system, and all they're going to do is they're going to tell the masses, this is the safe one. It's in our banks. It's secured. It's the only way they can fight this whole system is compete against it and play the whole fear game, just like they're doing in the mainstream media right now. It's coming. They're all working on all their digital currencies, all their blockchains. It's all coming out. Why do you think that they're pushing it? Is because they want you already interested and excited about it when they introduce theirs. But again, they don't want you using what you're going to be using, but they have no way of shutting it down. And it is completely right across the world. That's what I will say.
I think it's important for people to understand, and this is my opinion, I assume going to be shared by you guys, but crypto is, it's here, but it's going to be dominating the financial world, over the next decade, or it's really going to become adopted worldwide. And the governments of this world are developing, just like you said, their versions of these cryptocurrencies on the blockchain, and it's going to be used to try to compete with the decentralized version. People are going crazy into, they are going en masse into Bitcoin, Ethereum, these other cryptocurrencies right now, and it's getting late. And that's why we're seeing news like we saw with PayPal, like we saw with and we were just talking about on the pre-show, the office of the Office of the Comptroller of Currencies saying, hey, now the banks can use these stable coins for their settlements and things like that. So this is coming fast. It's coming fast and mainstream adoption is happening very fast. And so I think it's very important that people educate themselves because, they are going to have a choice. You can take the government version, which is going to still be, it's going to have all of that, all that pressure. It's going to be manipulated. It's going to have all the same problems that our fiat currencies do. But if you don't have to rely on that because you were smart and you did your research and you got it on the decentralized version, today, or you started doing your research today, then you're going to be in a position to, not have to rely on that. You're going to be in crypto one way or another. That's my opinion, but I believe that very strongly. You're going to be in crypto whether you like it or not. The question is, are you going to be in control, or is the government going to be in control of your crypto?
Yeah, very good point. Because again, it's not a matter of like, ooh, I don't like crypto. You better choose what you want to be into because you have that choice, because everyone is going to be in digital currencies in the short time.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point again, diversification is key. I'm very big on gold and silver. Yes, you need to diversify. You don't put everything into crypto. You don't put everything into gold. You don't put everything into the stock market. You need to have diversification. This crypto needs to be a position that you hold, in my opinion.
Yeah. And just for a disclaimer, we're not financial advisors. We're just giving our opinion. Take it for what it is. Do your own research and look into things for yourself. Again, all we're going to say is this is what we have done or what we believe in and the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. We are not financial advisors, so we are not licensed or in any way opinions. Yeah, we are not in any way qualified to tell you what to do here. We're just sharing some things with you that you can check out for yourself. As everything, we talk about lots of different topics, and we say do your own research. But Robbie, before you got off there, you were kind of on a roll telling about a little bit about your history, and you got back. You got into it, what, 2013? I think?
Yeah, I just today actually last night I found this in a filing cabinet. But check this out, guys. Bitcoin Expo 2014. This was Toronto, Canada, right? This VIP pass, ETH, right here, man. That's exactly when it was debuted. They debuted that at like 35 cents. I remember meeting Vitalik at this conference. There was Andreas Antonopoulos, Trace Mayer. We were hanging out in Trump Hotel with Trace for like 3 hours at the after party. Again, this was just, I knew I had to see it. This was the first Bitcoin conference in Canada, where I'm from. Flew down to Toronto, and honestly, the energy in that room and what they knew was coming. And I mean, Coinbase and all these companies were kind of just beginning at that point, and the creation of Bitcoin itself. But honestly, what they were talking about, they might have thought might have happened in 4 years based on the excitement. It's taking longer than what they thought based on where it's at right now. But these guys were saying the same thing. This literally is mind-blowing technology. It's almost like every single technology has always improved. But again, money has not really improved. This is a mind-breaking technology that kind of comes together and employs systems that really will transform not just finance. Finance is like money is like the first killer app on an iPhone. Think of the blockchain as your iPhone, and you've got kind of, Bitcoin as kind of an app or the blockchain. Really, when it comes down to it, all of these things, finance is just one thing. I would say legal, wills. I believe that copyright, they're going to start copywriting on the blockchain. I could see all sorts of things. Voting. I mean, we're talking January 6, 2021. Voting in the future probably will end up on the blockchain. And the good news, guys, with that, if you start researching block technology and the right type of blockchain, it cannot be manipulated, it cannot be controlled, and you cannot duplicate it or delete it. It's amazing. Just think of something that you can timestamp in history that can never be wiped out. Somebody actually said in the chat about Bitcoin, they said it's going to go to zero tomorrow. Bitcoin will be around to probably about 2140. That's when the last Bitcoin will be mined. There's only 21 million in existence. They figure that about 5 million have been lost based all throughout the years. People lost them in computers and wallets. So again, there's only about, 16, 17 million for the whole world, what do you think a price of one of those things are going to go that are rare? And over every year, more people are looking at them as precious and valuable, and they look at it as a store of value. And again, when it comes down to the difference between money and currency, know the difference. The governments are trying to get you to buy into this whole currency system, which is nothing but fiat, and it's all just manipulated. You're talking about a potential here to be in something that really cannot be manipulated. The governments hate it, but they can't do anything about it. Trust me, I've been in this journey long enough, and I've heard all the Senate hearings and all the stuff they're trying to do and everything, but they will not be able to stop this. And I'll tell you one thing, with decentralization, it's going to improve things in the future as far as establishing something that literally has no one point of failure. It's literally decentralized, and it would literally take the entire internet to go down before that would take place. And we want to talk about that as well, Rob, because I know a lot of people say, digital, well, what if there's an EMP attack or they just take down the internet forever? Guys, the internet is their control grid. Even if the internet goes down, the question is how long would it go down for? But let's just say you believe that it goes down for a little bit. No big deal, right? There's no way they're going to bring down the internet forever. And I'm just going to blow your mind real quick. Did you know that you can store your Bitcoin in your safe? You don't have to have it online at all. Actually, we're going to encourage you to have the majority of your cryptocurrency stored in a very safe place, like a safe, like a Ledger or Trezor, which is a device that keeps them offline, and you hold the private keys. There's a lot of exchanges out there, and it's just like a bank in the sense that they basically hold the keys. Knowing good security for the first time in your life, you are going to be in total control of your money. You will have the full control, the keys, and you won't have to depend on anyone. There's no counterparty risk. There's no third parties. It's just peer to peer. And that's what's incredible. It's almost like an email. The only difference is it's not Gmail, where Gmail could kind of manage your emails. You're talking about a system that's peer to peer, where I could send something straight to Rob back and forth, and there is no way they can manipulate or take that network down.
So, people, I think, it's just human nature. We fear what we don't understand. And so, going all the way back to barcodes. I mean, when barcodes first came out, I was on that bandwagon back then. I remember, when barcodes first came out and I got a hold of the understanding. Just by look, all I got to do is look at a barcode and looking at the different widths of the lengths, and you realize, wait a minute, two long skinny lines, that's a 6, and there's two lines, one on each side, one in the middle. It's telling you right there, hello, how much more in your face can it possibly be? This is the mark of the beast. And then once you get that thought in your head, right, and then you go to the supermarket and you're standing there in line, and they're taking every product that you give them, they're going boop, boop, boop with their little scanner, and then you got to pay, right? And there's, whoa, you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Look, it's happening right in front of me. It's happening right here. I remember actually writing movie scripts about that back. This is what, mid 90s or whenever it was, 80s, whenever it was that the barcodes first came out, And of course, back in that time, I remember coming out, I graduated high school in 87, and 88 was all this 88 reasons why Christ is going to return in 1988, right? Because, Israel became a nation in 1948, and generation's 40 years. So 40 years after 1988, Jesus is coming back. And look, every time you buy something, boop, 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 666 is right there. All the signs were there, right? Yeah. Time magazine says China can field a 200 million man army. But it's there. Can't you guys see it? Right? Yeah. Here we are, that's 88. Here we are, 2021. And we're having all the same hysteria over some of this. Now, granted, there will come a time when something will come out that will be the mark of the beast. And I'm not of the opinion that it's a this or a that. It may be all of the above. It may have something to do with all of it. I've been on record for saying that I think the mark of the beast is actually going to be a vaccine. Going back to 2010, 2011, I was on the speaking circuit talking about what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm more of the mindset that it's something like that, because something happens. It's not just buying and selling. When you take the mark, it changes you such that you are no longer redeemable. A barcode's not going to do that. A microchip's not going to do that. Mm-hmm. If you start rewriting your DNA, changing your DNA into something that's no longer in the image of God, of Yahuwah, that's Genesis 6:3. My spirit will no longer dwell with you, because you've corrupted this image that was in the image of God, that is no longer in the image of God. And he says, look, my spirit's not going to dwell with you anymore. And it talks about people begging for death, but death flees from them. There's a whole lot of things that you have to look at when you're considering the mark of the beast. And frankly, Bitcoin doesn't fit any of them.
I was just going to say, whether you have Bitcoin or not, those, what you're talking about, that's the reality. That's what's coming. And it doesn't matter if you have Bitcoin or not. I mean, that's something that definitely going to have to, that we'll all be watching, and what form it's going to be, we'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, like we've been saying, we are scared of things we don't understand. And so we just want to encourage everybody to take some time and do a little bit of research, and understand and get some of these terms down. We can kind of dive into some specifics as we get a little bit further into the show here, but understand some of these specifics, what decentralized, what it means, and the blockchain and things like that. It's just so important to understand this stuff because it's coming fast. And it's coming fast right to the front door, and we got to be ready. If we don't understand it and we don't have the knowledge there, we're not going to be able to take advantage of it, and it's gonna take we're gonna fall behind, and then we're gonna be left with no options. And that's really what we really wanted to make sure that we're talking to people about, is just helping them understand that there's options there when it comes to this stuff, because it's coming fast, and it's coming real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a few minutes before we go to the break. When we're talking about do your own research, now obviously we're doing this show Crypto 101. I mean, it's going to be very, very surface level, whatever we're able to cover here.
Mm-hmm.
It really is an introduction to the whole topic for people. But when we say do your own research, where would you point people to actually go deeper and to do that very thing?
Well, I mean, there's a number of great videos that Robbie sent me when I first was kind of investigating this, just understanding how the blockchain works. And YouTube obviously is a place that you can go to learn how to, change the oil in your car, how to, do some remodeling in the house, and you can also learn how the blockchain works, and what is the difference between proof of work versus proof of stake, and all these different kind of terms that you're going to come across as you start learning about the crypto world.
We're going to break, and we'll talk about it more when we come back. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We were talking about crypto sort of 101 and doing your own research. And where do you go? If you're going to do your research, where do you go to do that? And Paul, you were talking a little bit about, just do a search on YouTube, right?
Well, I mean, that's really where it began. It's just, there's some great documentaries out there about, just about Bitcoin, about the blockchain, learning about Ethereum, which we're going to talk about, which is probably the second most popular, currency out there, and has a whole network of coins that are built on it, which is important to begin to understand those things as well. But that's really where I began. And you know what? We, part of the Axion Today team, we get emails all the time asking, what do I do? Where do I go? That sort of thing. We're happy to kind of share some of these links with you and kind of walk you through that sort of onboarding process. But really, there's just a ton of information out there. Robbie, you've probably got a bunch of...
there's the information, I think, in the description for our YouTube channel. I mean, reach out to us, watch some videos, but also, it is a good idea that if you're looking to get into it, I know there's a link in the description for Coinbase. It's such a great entry point. There's great videos in there. They'll even give you Bitcoin for watching like 30 minutes of videos. So again, you have nothing to lose. Sign up, watch a couple videos, you got some Bitcoin. I think if you use the link in the description, you could get even another bonus there. So again, watch some videos. They have some great videos. It's as easy as going Bitcoin documentaries on YouTube, and you're going to see them pop up. Look, if they're over 100,000 views, they're probably pretty established. It will blow your mind. It really will blow your mind. Take the time to watch one and just learn kind of everything that's kind of transpired and the early days, what they were saying, and see if it doesn't line up to where we are today, and look at the struggles along the way. It didn't just all of a sudden, boop, we're here now. There were a lot of struggles. There were a lot of Senate hearings. There were a lot of people working behind the scenes to allow this peer-to-peer, distributed ledger technology come And you know what? The worst kind of regulations that come along, nobody actually goes down. They might have to pay a fine, but they still exist. And furthermore, when it comes to everything that we've seen, they've regulated certain ones, maybe not as a currency, but maybe as an asset, and to be taxed based on appreciation. But overall, no governments at the beginning. You can see there were a few governments that made it illegal in the world. But what happened was that all the innovation left that country. So people are going to say, well, they're going to make it illegal. I'll tell you what's going to happen if America makes crypto illegal. All the companies, the multi-billion-dollar companies that are about to just blow up like Tesla and Amazon, they're going to move to the country where they say, we love Bitcoin. So they're dealing with competition in the world. You don't think China is going to say, come over here? China has a ton of miners that are going on there in Bitcoin, and there's a lot of tech there. But it's the world competing for this brand new technology that literally is revolutionary. It is mind-boggling if you start to understand the complexities of how incredible this technology is. I can't stress to you how amazing it is. And just type in Bitcoin documentaries in YouTube and watch a few. Watch one. And I would imagine that one, it's like, watching something I recommend all the time when it comes to gold and silver to understand the difference between money and currency. I said, it's almost like you have to kind of have that light bulb, that red pill where you're like, whoa, I get it. And I always recommend The Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney. Amazing documentary. It's like a 10-part series now. But anyone that I've referred that to, and they take the time to even watch 1 or 2 episodes, they're like, whoa, like this is incredible. In the same regard, if you really just take a little bit of time and research it, this can represent a lot of freedom for you, for your family. It truly can. And again, what's stopping you? I mean, look what's going on in the world. And you know that we're coming to the Great Reset. You know that this is coming to an end as far as this financial matrix that we're in. So if they're going to propose a new one, protect yourself in the meantime. Being something outside the system is very smart. So I'll leave it at that for now.
So somebody in the chat room said, Elon literally said crypto is a joke. And I'm like, well,
yeah, he's not. He's 100. Like, look at his recent tweets. I mean, he was talking about Doge. He's starting to look into it because he's starting to see that like Bezos and these other people are starting to jump into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in a furious way. I would say that we've talked a lot about Bitcoin, and a lot of people think like I missed the boat. It's $37,000. Are you kidding me? And I tell people all the time, guys, you haven't at all. And it's not about buying one whole Bitcoin. You can buy $20 of Bitcoin. Buy $20 every 2 weeks. You can go into Coinbase and you can set up a thing where it says, I want to buy $20 of Bitcoin every 2 weeks. And it will just automatically forget about it. Just sit back and relax and see what happens in a year. It's only $20 every 2 weeks. But that's the kind of mentality that people don't understand. It's like, it's too expensive. No, it's not. It's a precious resource and you can buy it right now. And that's something that I think is really important. And in the whole scheme of things, it's not going to be, people are going to go, wow, you got into it when it was under 100,000. I've been in this long enough to see people laughing, saying, well, never, there's stories where people said it would never get to $1, I mean, people said it was laughable to think it would be 100. People laughed at me when I said 1,000. People laughed at me when I said 10, 20, 50, 100. They're still laughing when I'm saying my predictions now. Who knows what's going to happen, how long it's going to take, but this thing is a runaway train. And what other invention or asset in the world appreciates this much? Bitcoin now is up over 3 million%, I believe. I think it's extraordinary how high the gains are in these cryptocurrencies. But here's the thing, guys. People say, well, the bubble's going to burst. It's going to pop. You're right. It's going to. All cryptocurrencies fall 70 to 85%. It's normal. And guess what happens? 2 years later, they get stronger. This is what we're seeing with ETH, with Bitcoin, with all these different cryptocurrencies. It's here to stay, but it's going to be a rough ride on the way. This is the early days of the internet. Think of the late 1990s and the internet years. This is where we are in cryptocurrency. It hasn't even got to the point where it's even easy to understand. It's kind of complex. Take the time to look into it because you'll be into it sooner when all of a sudden people come into it later that it's so much easier. Right now, it's a little bit complex and that is problematic. But if the price is doing what it's doing right now, when it's kind of hard and kind of hard to understand, think of what's going to happen when it becomes easy, where anyone can just click a button and it's just done and you understand it. But sometimes it's not about understanding it. Do you understand HTTP protocol? Do you understand what's going on behind the scenes? You don't have a clue, most of you. But again, you love the internet. You don't care. It does what it does. You're watching a video right now on HTTP protocol. Think of blockchain as a protocol that is about to revolutionize, and many applications are going to be built upon it.
I just thought it was funny because you posted something the other day. Hey, guess what? You can buy a Tesla now with 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, you know what, Rob? One thing, I've seen it in a few people mention it in the chat, and that is going back to kind of why crypto, why I just, grabbed onto it once it landed in my lap was I mentioned I had a background in finance, but I'd like to think that I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on in the world when it comes to finance. I'm talking about the World Bank, the central banking system, these fiat currencies, and I believe that somebody that really understands how the U.S. dollar works, how the government currencies, these fiat currencies of the world work. Once you really understand what's going on in the world with currencies, you're going to really start to respect what's going on in crypto, because I believe that, and there's a lot of people watching, I know, that claim to be truthers. Truthers understand the problems with the world banking system. Okay. And they know how bad it is, and how they just print money, and how it just gets more and more devalued, and how it's talk about a bubble going to burst. Let's talk about the fiat currencies out there and the government currencies out there. If you truly understand how the fiat currencies work, and how they've been able to do what they've been doing, just the fact that 20% of every US dollar printed happened in 2020, talk about hyperinflation. You understand how that works, and then you understand how cryptocurrencies work and how the blockchain works. You're going to really start appreciating this technology, because that ability that that the governments of the world have been able to do to just to print the dollars and print all this stuff, print all this money to try and keep this thing afloat. You're not going to see that in the crypto space. Okay. We don't need that. People say, this is going to burst or whatever. No, it's the US dollar. It's the crypto, it's the currencies of the world is the issue. So if you really understand those things, look into crypto really with that objective, with a little bit of an objective eye, and really dive into that. And you're going to see that this is the way that finance should be, okay? Where you have the control, and it's not the governments of the world that's controlling that, and forcing the price up and down, and crashes and things like that, just to have these huge transfers of wealth. That can't happen in this, because it's all transparent and you control all of it. So I think that's one reason that I really got a hold of this thing and really got excited about it, is because I understood what was going on in fiat currencies. And this is a way to get out of that, to get away from that, and not be so controlled.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people want to say, well, this is controlled by the banks. It's like, no, it isn't. It's decentralized. I mean, that's the whole point.
That's why they're inventing their own. That's why they're inventing their own. They're all behind the scenes.
Their own. Right. Yep. They're creating their own cryptos because they want to get in on the action.
Mm-hmm.
But was Bitcoin the first? Or is
Bitcoin was the first. It was the first truly blockchain that was created. There were a few digital currencies that were trying to get outside of the matrix, but again, they just shut them down. I mean, there was like a digital gold. I forget offhand the name of the companies. You can look this up and you can see what was attempted before Bitcoin came along. But really, when Satoshi Nakamoto put out the white paper, it's a 6-page document. That 6-page document blew the smartest minds around the world. Just 6 pages, and they were looking at it and they're like, oh my goodness, this solves certain complex ideas that could not be solved. The greatest supercomputers couldn't solve what was proposed in there. And again, it was more of an experiment at the beginning, but it was birthed right after the 2008 crisis. And I think he stamped something even in the blockchain, and he said, this is based on the failures and what the banks are about to do to the world, and this represents freedom, or something along those lines. But he really was about a big believer on, we need to get outside the central bank control, the Federal Reserve. All of this stuff is corrupt. We're seeing it take place here in 2008. And I'm proposing this. And he kind of went around, and it started gaining traction, and really it started taking hold about 2010. It's a fascinating story because no one really does know the identity. But all you need to know is that it is set up in such a way that it doesn't have any central, like the person that created it or the people that created it can't even control it themselves. It's like a runaway train. It's like it's set in it's immutable, that it cannot be changed. And when you start really looking into it, and you can be skeptical. I would encourage you to be skeptical. Look into how incredible the technology is. Now, you could create your own blockchain that could be fully controlled and evil, and you could do whatever you want to it at any time. The reason why Bitcoin's valuable is because it's a finite supply. It's fixed. It's depreciating in the sense that it's actually cutting in half every year. It started at 50 Bitcoins that were mined, and we'll get into mining real quick, but mining, you've heard of mining Bitcoin, right? Well, miners were mining at about 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. In 4 years, it cut to 25, then to 12. So every 4 years, it's cutting its supply in half. So miners can only, right now, we're only at about 6. We're at about 6 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And again, in 3 more years or so, it's going to cut again in half. Think about what happens when all of a sudden miners are only basically producing less than 1 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, or fractions of even one. It is going to slow down over time. They estimate that the last Bitcoin will be mined in around 2140. Guys, it's going to be around a long time. It's going to play out. The question is, there's only about, 17 million or so, because they consider a lot of them lost. So again, it's a very, very precious resource. And again, a lot of people will say, yeah, but it created out of nothing. It's like cryptocurrency. If you could have got on the internet and you could have actually, let's just say, bought into the HTTP technology. Someone said, hey, I got this really cool idea and it's going to blow up. It's going to create the internet and all that. And you could buy into it early on. It has value. It's a protocol, but it has value. So sometimes you got to look beyond it. Does it have value that I can send something to Paul instantly with no middleman? Small fees, like instantaneously, outside of any government, outside any banks. Is there value in that? You're seeing the results of the world saying, we love this. A lot of countries are getting out of the control from their governments and they're fleeing to gold, silver, but also Bitcoin. Bitcoin is nice and the sense of cryptocurrencies. Think about it this way. You got all this gold and silver. It's kind of hard to get on a plane and leave the country. You could easily leave any country with a private key and you can have like $1 million on it and they can't do anything about it. So you can transfer it, you can take it with you. A lot of people that are fleeing countries, it's a real problem when they can't take their wealth with them. So a lot of people are looking into these technologies it's not evade the government, because I still believe that you should pay your taxes, do what's right and legal. The question is, no one should have the right to know how much money you have or what you're doing. When you go to an airport and they're like, are you transferring more than $10,000 in these type of scenarios? Again, a lot of the time it was about privacy. Bitcoin was birthed based on that it should be private. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin's completely private. There are other cryptocurrencies like Monero and other ones that are completely private. That's a whole other discussion. My point is, there's a lot of technologies out there and they're doing different things, and you can find something that pretty much you're excited about and happy about what it's going to do, whether it's going to improve this, it's going to improve that. It is really incredible technology. And right now it is the people's. It is the people's money. And again, it is coming to an end where all of a sudden it's not that they're going to do anything to these currencies. The only game they have, guys, is they are going to play the competition game. And you know how they're going to do it? They are going to play the fear game. Oh, you don't want that Bitcoin. You don't want that ETH. That's radical stuff. You could get hacked and stuff. Our stuff is safe. It's insured. It's secured. It's in the bank. Guys, don't listen to their nonsense. They've lied to you about the US dollar. Don't let them lie to you about the digital currencies they're about to propose for the whole world. Whether it's bank coins or government coins or country coins, whatever's coming, they're going to want you in their system. You're going to be free if you're outside of it. That's why we're talking to you about looking into cryptocurrency, because there's a lot of freedom in that.
Well, and that's the whole point, freedom. The people, of course, in the chat room going on, Christians always want to jump in there and say, well, what are you talking about money for and this, that, and other thing? Look, you have clothes. Do you like to eat? Do you want property? Well, everybody's like, well, you just need to store up food. You need to get land. I'm like, hello, McFly, what do you use to get those things? You have to use this crazy thing called money. Whether you like it or not, we all have to spend it. Because everything we do, including commenting on YouTube, you got to pay your internet bill. You have to use money. It's what it always comes down to. You have to use money. And all we're trying to do, and us, what we're trying to do on that panel discussion before, was show people, look, times are getting crazy. You could go to your bank one day and they have a bank holiday and your bank is closed, and you guess what? And all of your ones and zeros that are in your bank account could disappear.
Well, it's not only that, it's just that we talk about this all the time, but it continues, and that is the devaluation of the dollar, the buying power, right? Of the spending power that we have. Robbie, you have a great analogy about gold, 1 ounce of gold. I think you should share that right now, because I think that's a perfect example of talking about, the U.S. dollar just continues to become worth less and less.
And again, it's based. Bitcoin was based on gold. Like the entire principles on Bitcoin were based on the fundamentals of gold. That's why I'm in all three, and I think everyone should be. But here's an illustration. I was born in 1972. In 1972, gold for 1 ounce was $35. Okay, you following me? So let's just say you got 2 shoe boxes. A person puts an ounce of the gold in that shoebox in 1972, and they also put $35 in that shoebox. You forward into the future, 2021. You open up that one shoebox and you take that ounce of gold, right? I'm going to go into the illustrations and what happens, how it's preserving this purchasing power long periods of time throughout into the future. All right. Let's go back to 1972, $35 ounce of gold. At that time, it would buy you an Armani's men's suit or a really nice men's suit and a pair of shoes. All right. So we fast forward, you take that same ounce in 2020 out, you cash that in, you can buy a nice Armani's men's suit and a pair of shoes. It's equivalent if you cash that gold out. But if you take that other shoebox and you take that $35 out, it will hardly buy you a nice t-shirt. What's happened there? It's preserved its purchasing power over time. I tell people this all the time. What you're seeing in Bitcoin right now and what you're seeing in gold and silver, it's not that they go up in price. The dollar is going down. These are troubling figures based on what's happening with the US dollar. As you keep those dollars in your pocket or in your bank account, the government has a hidden tax that a lot of people don't know about. They know about, certain things like I pay my taxes, but the one thing they don't know about is inflation. A lot of people. As they print more and more money, and there has been an extraordinary amount printed, in 2020, your dollars become less in value, meaning that it's going to take more of those dollars to pay for the same thing. Groceries are going to go up, utilities are going to go up, all that stuff's going to go up. It's going to take you more and more dollars. Zimbabwe, different countries around the world have gone into hyperinflation where it takes millions of dollars to buy a loaf of bread. It seems crazy. This is what history repeats, and this is what is going to take place. Whether it's inflation or hyperinflation, these are things you got to look out for. So it really is a matter of saying, look, they are destroying the dollar. They are destroying your wealth. They are destroying everything that's about. You need to look into avenues where you can preserve your purchasing power. It's about saving. And all the believers that are here right now, God is all about being a good steward with what? Your money, right? Being a good steward. The story of Joseph. He said, I want you to store away and save for the times that are tough. Guys, the times that are tough are coming. It is time to prepare right now. And quite honestly, you can't do much in this world without having savings and having money. Have money. Don't have just currencies. Again, there's a difference between the two. And there's 5 definitions for money, but one of them is a store of value over a long period of time. The dollar is not it anymore. It has lost incredible amounts of value. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, they are showing that they are a store of value. And I think long term, you're going to see this. We've already seen this now since 2008 to 2021. Look at the price of the cryptos. That is showing over a long period of time, they're gaining, dollars are going down. So that's what I will say is over a period of time, an ounce of gold, if you fast forward in the future, will have the same purchasing power it had in 1972. People say things go up in price all the time. Things get more expensive. Oh yeah? Why are TVs going down? Why are computers going down? Isn't it weird that the only things that are going up are food, utilities, our needs, our wants, electronics, they go down. Yeah, don't believe the lie that things just go up in price over time. That is not the way it works. You need to learn the matrix. You need to figure it out. Like I said, The Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney is a good way not to introduce you to gold and silver, just to show you the matrix of what this whole system was created to be. And you're like, oh my goodness, this whole thing was a lie. You believe and you've exposed a lot of lies. This is another one. You need to start looking into it.
Well, the thing that I would say, and we've talked about it in other shows as well, is diversify as much as you can, because if one thing goes down, at least you've made a way to make it through with something else. Of the 3, if we were to talk about cryptocurrencies, gold and silver, and what we call money, US dollar, the least you should have would be US dollar. It's the least trustworthy, and the worst of the 3 that you could have. I mean, I would certainly agree getting gold and silver is a smart thing to do as well. The difference being, gold is right now, let me share screen here. Gold is right now at $1,927.85. So $1,927.85. It was like at $1,800. It's been hovering between 13 and 18.
I'll explain something real quick, though. JP Morgan and a lot of the central banks have already got the whole gold and silver thing manipulated. Right? There's a lot of paper that's out there. And right now, the price is very suppressed. So the good news I tell people is watch crypto, because eventually gold and silver are going to do it. When they end the manipulation, when they can no longer manipulate it, because that's coming to an end as well. Their whole reign on keeping it down and keeping people away from it in the sense of suppressing that price. That's a whole other discussion going into how they are keeping the price down. But see, guys, they can manipulate that market through paper shares and all this nonsense. Cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, it can't be manipulated like that. So what you're seeing is kind of a future of what probably is going to happen to gold and silver. I still think that you need to be in both, but everyone's all excited about, look at Bitcoin, look at Ethereum, all this stuff is going crazy. Guys, gold and silver, I mean, there are countries around the world that are stockpiling it. I personally believe that the world currency or whatever is going to happen in the future, it will be a digital currency, but most likely backed by gold. It will be a blockchain technology, but they will put gold behind it as well. China, Russia, there's so many countries that are stockpiling gold by the metric ton. It would make your head blow up. Even the fact that they're getting more into crypto, you can see the fact that they're preparing for something. The question is, what are they preparing for? I believe the Great Reset, and the Great Reset will include a whole new global, digital currency system.
You're muted, Rob.
Sorry. Silver is at the point I was making is that silver is at $27.18 right now. Gold's at $1,900. I mean, it's been in that ballpark, roughly $25. It seems like for at least a decade or so. Whereas with the crypto, okay, so let's say you're all into gold and silver. That's great. How much have you accumulated? Let's say you got silver 10 years ago. What, you make $2?
Yeah, but I would say gold and silver is more just a long-term proposition. It's not like, I want to make money on it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, we can move on. The point is that run for something that's outside of their system. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is, okay, you can get silver or gold, and that's great. Maybe hold it for the long haul, but your net gain as a result of doing that is negligible. Whereas if I got, let's say, a Bitcoin 3 years ago, for $1,000, it's worth $37,000 today.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get that kind of a gain in gold and silver, and certainly not in any kind of cash. And how are you doing in the stock market these days?
Highest appreciating asset in the history of the world.
In the history of the world.
We're talking about right here now. So gold and silver, back to that. That's a good place to store value. It's and the point is, in Robbie's illustration, was that the precious metals, they keep up with inflation. They allow you to maintain your wealth or your position throughout the decades or whatever. And having U.S. dollars, obviously, if that's where all of your wealth is stored, is that where is that what your savings is? Then you're losing out as everything gets more expensive. No, it's because your dollar's becoming worth less and less and less. But we're talking about appreciating assets. We're talking about appreciating assets. The world has never seen what cryptocurrencies have done just since Bitcoin came on the scene. There's everything in that space. You have the ability, the potential to appreciate faster than anything you can imagine when it comes to finance. So, but like we say, with that ability, with that potential to go up really quickly, it has the same potential to obviously go down. So, it has its place. And that's one thing we want to continue to remind people. Yes, it can go to zero. So that's why you got to do your research, and you have to think long-term, and what we're going to be talking about in the second half of the show, a lot of people think, if I get into crypto, it's going to be trading, day trading. And, we're going to be trying to do this and read the charts and timing the market and all this sort of thing. And it's going to be just like stock traders. You're probably going to it's going to be really frustrating, and you're going to lose like most people do. We're going to be talking about in the second half of the show a way to think big and to think long term when it comes to crypto, and have some guarantees around that, which, if that doesn't really compute, how can I have some sort of a guarantee with cryptocurrency? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in the second half of the show. And it's really the next phase of crypto, and that is the proof of stake. That's what we're going to be getting into. So definitely stick around for that. Yeah,
very good. Perfect timing, Paul. We are now going to our second break here, and we will come back and talk some more about staking. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba, and we are in the second hour of the broadcast. I'm talking with my guests, Paul Lindberg and Robbie Davidson. There we go. Sorry about that. So right before the break, Paul, you were talking about long-term and this whole idea of staking, which is something new in the crypto market. Why don't you guys talk about that and talk about, as we go into this second half of the show here, your Axion today YouTube channel and what you guys are doing with that crypto. Now, before we do that though, is it fair to say that like Bitcoin is like gold and Ethereum is like silver and maybe Litecoin is like what, copper? Would it be fair? Would those be the top three, or is something past Litecoin by now?
Oh yeah, something has passed Litecoin by now. But yeah, I mean, it's a good illustration. But ETH is more of a platform where all these things are going to be built on it, including Axion, which we're going to be talking about this hour. But yeah, it is a good illustration. I think that, Bitcoin is the king and it's going to be the king for a long time. A lot of people say it's old technology. Why isn't something new going to take it over? Again, Bitcoin doesn't really need to do anything, and Bitcoin doesn't really do much other than store value. People are looking at it as gold 2.0. And so it doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be cutting edge, and all these different up and coming cryptocurrencies, they're doing all sorts of things. They're faster and doing, different applications. So, I personally believe that Bitcoin's going to, be king for quite some time, but it is a good illustration to think that ETH, I mean, it was always considered that like Bitcoin was gold and Litecoin was silver for many years. But again, it could have changed now.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well, sort of by way of transition from Bitcoin into the world of staking, talk about Hex before we get into Axion. What is the deal with that particular one?
Well, I had followed someone for, I don't know, maybe 3 years or so leading up to today. And at one time, he was a Bitcoin maximalist. And over time, as ETH improved, he got really more bullish on ETH. And he was a very intelligent guy. His name's Richard Hart. And he created a cryptocurrency. And it was a long time coming, a lot of planning, putting it together. And he launched that in December of 2019. And quite honestly, it was revolutionary. And the fact of bringing up the staking idea, really, he looked around and said, wait a minute, it's been 10 years almost in cryptocurrency and no one's figured out to do the second most popular thing that banks do. Guys, we're supposed to be replacing the banks, and we're not doing what the banks do as far as, the decentralized finance aspect of it. One of the main components, other than your checkings and savings account, the second most popular thing in a bank is something called a CD, or a certificate of deposit, time lock saving. The longer you lock up your money, the bank gives you more interest, or they give you bonuses based on if you stake it, if you have it in their accounts longer. So he had kind of put something out based on the share idea that based on your Hex that you would stake, you would get shares in place of that. And these shares were continuing to go up in price all the time. So you had the opportunity of locking in the share price really early for a very long time. And all the interest was paid on your pool on your shares. Long story short was, though, he had created this thing, and it's over a year now, and it's done incredibly well. I would say that Axion and other projects that are basically taking the staking idea, even ETH 2.0 is talking about staking, and pretty much they came out with it after Richard Hart created Hex. So it's like almost like they got the idea almost from him, in the sense that he was the first to bring this to the industry or the space. I would go to say that the next 10 years of cryptocurrency is all going to be about decentralized finance, staking, and all these applications of building applications in different financial vehicles. This is where it's going to explode. So I got really excited with Hex. I mean, I talked with many people about it, including Paul and Patricia. And by the way, Patricia, people that are asking why she's not here, she wasn't feeling well tonight. She apologizes, but she wished she could be on the show, and we'll see her in the future. But I wanted to mention that because people were mentioning where she is for tonight. We do the show, the three of us, every Monday on our channel, Axion Today. So based on Hex, though, it was something that was really brilliant. And I would imagine that many amazing projects are going to be birthed. So think of Hex as like the Bitcoin, in the sense that a lot of things are going to be spurred from that beautiful innovation that was brought to the blockchain. And Richard Hart, all credit to him, he brought this to the blockchain. And quite honestly, a lot of people, if you look around, there's a lot of bad talk about kind of just him in general and the project, but it is absolutely blowing away people on how well it's doing. And it's only year one. It went at like what we're talking about, I don't know, fractions of a penny or whatever, and it's over a penny now. These things have incredible growth. And he said this, he's like, if you ever listen to him, he says, guys, this is the most appreciating assets the world has ever known. And again, there are cryptocurrencies and the gains are just absolutely incredible. It is not just pie in the sky. It's happening. People are realizing these things. This is for real. Throughout the years, Bitcoin appreciates like crazy, and other cryptocurrencies do as well. So when you build up applications and people believe in something, they have huge potential. When you're dealing with something that's immutable and put on, in a smart contract, You're dealing with something though that is incredible because once it's locked, it can't be changed. And if anyone says, "Oh, I think it can," and whatever, and you'll hear these things all the time. Provide your proof, or come up on a show and have a debate if you think that these things can happen. A lot of people say a lot of things and they have no idea what they're talking about. They need to be challenged because a lot of people listen to this and they say, "Oh, that kind of makes sense. Maybe the CIA created it." Show me the proof that the CIA created these currencies. You have to look into it and understand that there's a revolution going on with the entire money system. Governments are losing control. They don't like it, but there's nothing they can do about it. And again, it's time to really wake up to, the financial matrix and escape it. You got the opportunity to do it right now. Why aren't you doing it?
So let's back up real quick before we get into the staking thing. We didn't address how do you get crypto? People that are brand
That's
new
true.
that are listening.
Paul, you could talk about the crypto thing and people.
Where do you go? How do you get it? What do you do?
Well, depending on the country that you're in, there's different options. I'm based in the U.S. Coinbase is very popular, and a lot of people say, "Oh, this and that," or whatever. I've been using Coinbase since I started buying Bitcoin back in August of 2019, and I haven't had one problem with it. So, just speaking from experience, it's been great. If you're looking to get in, then definitely create an account on Coinbase, and you connect your debit card or your bank account to it, and like we've talked about, you can just set it up so that just every week or every month or whatever, you can just buy a little bit, of whatever. And you can buy Bitcoin on there. You can buy Ethereum. You can buy, there's a whole bunch of different currencies on there. Start doing your research, obviously. But that's kind of the point of entry. You've got to obviously exchange your local fiat currency or whatever wherever your resources are. You got to use that to convert into Bitcoin, Ethereum, or some of these other what we call altcoins, or some of these other currencies that are up and coming. So I've personally just been using Coinbase, but there are a ton of different exchanges. That's what we're talking about. An exchange is your point of entry, and also could be the way that you exit as well, because that's hooked up to your bank account. You can sell that cryptocurrency for Ethereum or Bitcoin, and then convert that right back into your local currency to spend it. Now, there's a lot of opportunities coming out with credit cards and things like that, where you can actually spend your cryptocurrency. You can pay your bills with fiat currency, with your crypto, what have you, where you don't ever have to turn that crypto back into, the US dollar or the British pound or the euro or what have you. And you can still have that spending power. So we can if we have time, we'll get into that. But that is really where to start.
Yeah, that's a good point too, is that more and more, it used to be like when I first heard about it in 2017, I was like, well, who takes Bitcoin? Like, there wasn't really anybody that I could take Bitcoin and buy something with it. I mean, I think Starbucks maybe, or there's few companies that started doing it, but now, I mean, you can buy airplane tickets with it. You can, PayPal is linking up with it now, and I think Amazon and most of the big wigs out there now are some way linked up so that you can buy and sell with it.
And Axion, the project, that Robbie, Patricia, and I are talking, streaming about every week, partner with a company called Connect Financial, and they're coming out with a credit card, hopefully this month. But that's going to allow you to collateralize your crypto and that's what your buying power is going to be. So you could, let's say you've got $10,000. Yeah, you got $10,000 of Bitcoin, let's say, in your Coinbase account. You can assign that Bitcoin as collateral, and then you go out and and it's a Visa card, so it's accepted anywhere a Visa card works in the world. And you can go out there and you can spend. You got $10,000 of credit. You go out there and spend that, and when your bill comes due, you could sell Bitcoin to pay the bill, or you could use US dollars, whatever, to pay your bill as well. But that way, you're never ever really have to sell your Bitcoin. Right. Yeah. But you're just using that to borrow against it. And you're, again, control. You're the bank. You're basically doing all this on your own. This is going to be some real powerful stuff that's coming down the pipe.
No banks. A Visa credit card with no banks.
Right. So you're mentioning Coinbase. So people who know or don't know, that's Coinbase.com. You can go to Coinbase.com. That's what I use also. Yeah. I actually set up a separate bank account that's only linked to that I don't do any other kind of banking or anything else with that bank account. It's just for that. And so you can set it, like you said, sort of auto withdraw, just get
you can. Yeah.
Every week.
That's how I started. I started doing like $25 a week into Bitcoin.
Yeah,
that's how I started.
Kind of chugs away in the background. And then if you need cash back, then the same way you bought crypto with fiat currency, you can trade it back to get your fiat currency, hopefully at a pretty substantial increase, probably. You know, that's what we're talking about here. You put a little bit in, and then over time it appreciates, and then you can withdraw it and then use it to pay your bills or do whatever.
Yep.
So Coinbase.com, and in fact, there's a referral link in the description below. If you just use that link, you could use that link there. And as I understand it, if you buy or sell $100 worth of crypto using that link, then I think what both of us, myself and you out there, get $10 worth of Bitcoin, I think.
Correct. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and Coinbase also have a bunch of videos as well. If you just watch a few videos, they're going to give you some more Bitcoin for free just for watching a 15-minute video. So when we were talking about good videos to watch, go watch some of their basic intro videos, and they're going to give you some more Bitcoin. So, I mean, really, like, you know, even just watching videos, even if you went there and you didn't want to buy any, watch a 15-minute video and get some Bitcoin and just sit on it for 10 years.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Right? See what it does.
Yeah, I mean, even just $10 worth of Bitcoin. If you just all you do is get that free $10 worth of Bitcoin, and sit on it for the next 10 years.
Yep.
You'll be surprised what that $10 turns into. You know,
like you would be surprised. You would be surprised.
Turned to 37,000 in what?
Yep.
4 years. Barely, not even 3.5 years.
Well, I sent my wife's father in New Zealand just a little bit, just we were getting into Bitcoin, and I don't know, it was like $20. Well, he checked his account in New Zealand the other day, and it was, you know, well over $1,500. So the fact is, it might seem trivial, but you're going to get it. It's going to be in your wallet. You could say, hey, I got some Bitcoin. You don't have to buying any. You might as well just do it for fun and see what happens in 10, 15, 20 years. You might be surprised what that little, you know, $10, $15 if you decide not to go further. But it is something that it's something you should look into and just go from there and do your due diligence, research it, you know, scrutinize it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you need to really look at everything. And we don't have the time in the show to go into it, but look into it because there's some incredible opportunities, just like, you know, Axion, the one that we're in. We're so incredibly excited about just the potential and the community and the team and just everything that's behind it. It is pretty incredible. We would not be doing a weekly show if we did not think that this was something really special.
Looks like we lost Paul. Looks like he just dropped off for some reason. Maybe he'll come back.
He'll probably pop in.
Yeah. So as we start transitioning to moving into the idea of staking, I mean, this is just another way to sit on it the same way you would with a CD and a bank account.
Correct. It's the same principle. And the longer you lock it, the more you get. Yeah, this is something that banks do, and it's just being replicated on the blockchain. So it's something to, you know, really seriously consider. But really, it's just earning interest. Imagine back in the day if you had Bitcoin and you held on to it, but you could have earned interest. See, the one thing that Bitcoin will never do is be able to give you interest. That's why I'm saying that it was lacking in that sense. So now you've got applications that are coming out that you'll get interest if you just sit on it. Most people want to sit on crypto anyways. You're going to be benefited by just sitting on it. We call it staking. The longer you stake it, the more you're going to make. It is just set up on the second most popular financial instrument from banks all around the world. Look it up and you'll find out. It has now been invented, brought on the blockchain, and there's a lot of amazing innovation that's coming from it.
Yeah, very cool. So let's go ahead and transition then into the discussion of Axion. Now, well, Hex was the first to do it, right? Or
correct.
Were they? So he was the first. Richard Hart was
Richard Hart
to apply the concept of a CD like in a bank.
He came up with the whole structure. The whole thing was shares and everything that was pretty much structured. Now, Axion and other, you know, cryptocurrencies are kind of seeing things and they're basically different. They're looking at things and going, well, you know, instead of, you know, 50-50, we want to give more to the community. Some are becoming more community focused. I would say that Axion is incredibly transparent where, you know, Richard's the one that kind of just, you know, he created it, where all of a sudden you've got ones that are more transparent in the sense that they want the community to be involved with all the decisions going forward. And that's kind of why we're in Axion. Not that we think it's better than Hex, it's different and it's exciting, but both are very, very incredible. And I do believe that they're going to do very well over the next decade, just because that technology, applying a earning interest on your crypto by locking it up longer, and all of it checks out. I mean, you can read the white paper, you can look into it. I mean, we've scrutinized it left, right, and center, and it's incredible. And it's called like ERC20 token that is on. And there's lots of cryptos that are being built. Like some of the ones that are in the top 10 were built on Ethereum. So again, this is nothing new in the sense that it's like the actual technology itself being built on Ethereum. The fact of the staking and earning interest on is new. And that's where you're going to see crypto going over the next 10 years is everyone is going to start moving into a thing. Well, if I'm holding on to it, why would I just hold on to it if I'm not going to be rewarded? Then I might as well just spend it. So what's going to happen is the more people that are locking it means the price is going to go up because there's not any to sell. You're choosing to lock it rather than sell it, and you're promising that you're going to lock it for a period of time. Now, in the banks, if you promise to lock up your money for 3 years, what happens if you get out in a year and a half, Rob?
Say again?
You lock money up in a bank in a CD or a certificate of deposit, and you say, okay, I agree, I'm going to lock it up for 3 years, and then after a year and a half, you say, I want to get out. What happens?
Oh, you're not going to get it depends on if there are fees and things like that.
Yeah, you're going to get a penalty, right? But the brilliant thing, the banks get the penalty, right? Well, with Axion and these type of structures, the people that are staked get the penalties. So again, it's like the people become the bank. The whole thing is kind of inside itself, where all of a sudden the banks aren't getting the fees. And anybody that is honest and says, I'm going to stake for 2 years, and they're honest about it and get out, they get everything back. There's no penalties. Well, for someone that says, I want to go in for 5 years, and they get out in 1 year, there's a big penalty. That penalty gets distributed to all the people that were honest and said that did what they said they're going to do. So it really teaches patience. It teaches delaying gratification. But at the end of the day, you're in full control. You can do a stake for 1 day, or you can do 5,555 days, which is about 15.2 years. Here's the crazy thing. In Axion, there's almost 1,000 people that have staked out 15 years. It's over 4 billion Axion that have been staked 15 years. That tells you there is a lot of confidence because these guys aren't getting out. If they get out, it is an incredible penalty. You start looking into how bad the penalties are. You could lose pretty much the whole thing if you get out in like year one, if you promise to stake something that long. But the thing is, you have the flexibility. What's called ladders or ladder staking is where people do stuff. So there's stuff coming out every year or every 3 months. You set the parameters and you decide what you want to do. Again, it's completely decentralized. It's on the blockchain. It's transparent. You can see everything happening real time. And that's the beautiful thing that we're moving into, is where everything is transparent and you can see everything happen for what it is. It's a smart contract that's put on the blockchain and you can see it all work. And it works. It really does work. There's people cashing out all the time. You see it every day. So it's not like, well, I'm putting money in and when can I get it out? You decide when you want it out. Do a couple test ones. It's pretty incredible to see where cryptocurrency and that technology is going over the next decade.
Well, yeah, for sure. We've been talking about Bitcoin going to $37,363 right now, and JP Morgan just says Bitcoin could rise to 146,000 long term as it competes with gold. This was published yesterday. So I mean, that value is just going to keep going up. It's
long term. Along the way though, expect major.
It's going to crash. And that's what I wanted to ask you, is that if we've seen it before when it got to 10,000 or when it got to 20, it goes up, then when it got to what, 10 or 12, maybe 15,000.
It was 20. It was just shy of 20, and that's when it did its dive down.
It went down to what, 3 or 5,000?
Yeah, about 3. I think as low as around 3,000. Yeah.
But even at that time, when I was in at that time and looking at it and I'm freaking out because I only had a little bit in there, and I'm like, and like, wow, it's good. And then all of a sudden it took this nosedive and everybody, oh no, realizing that there's a lot of volatility in it. But everybody was saying, just hang on. Every time it goes up and it does crash, it goes down. It doesn't go down as far as it did before, but it will go down. But then when it goes back up, it will exceed whatever it was before it went down the last time. So it's always this up, down. Because like what's happening right now probably is, since this whole staking thing, people are holding on to it. They're getting crypto and there's this whole idea of holding on to it longer. It's driving the value up because there's less and less available out there. But then thanks to the economy being the way it is right now, everybody's struggling because business has been shut down for a year because of, this invisible enemy, that they're going, man, wow, it's almost at 40,000. Well, I'm going to cash out because I got to pay my bills because I've made no money this year because our business is shut down. So there's probably going to be a lot of people cashing out in the very near future, which is going to make it go back down again. But hold on, because it's going to go right back up again afterwards. And when it comes to the CD thing, you get a reward for doing what you say you're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get penalized. It looks like you get penalized pretty heavily.
Really bad. Yeah.
for-
Like it's very severe. Like if you're in 20% of the time, you're going to lose 80% of all your principal and interest. So the penalties are very severe. We always say stake wisely when it comes to Axion. But again, let's just say though you staked for a certain amount of time and all of a sudden it went really up high and you wanted to get out. You still probably could be out with the penalty and still be up. Do you know what I mean? Because you got that appreciation plus you're making a lot of interest. The rate in Axion is 8%. So what I will say is when Paul, initially talked about this and said, as far as making it, we cannot guarantee any price. We don't know what the price is going to happen in the future. But if you're staked and you're making more Axion, you're guaranteed to make more Axion every day. That is something that's guaranteed. It's written in the contract. It's the math. The question is, what will the price be in the future? We don't know. And we know that all cryptocurrencies, they've got incredible potential. There was a time when everyone was running because Ethereum was crashing. They're like, oh, it's over for ETH, or it's over for Bitcoin. The bubbles burst. I've heard this 3 times since I've been in it, and I'm not even that early. It happens continually. And yet there's a long lull. Bitcoin or crypto is not doing anything for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it's like, what the heck just happened? It just starts shooting up and away it goes. The technology itself, guys, is here forever. That's just the reality. It's not going anywhere. Start looking into these things. It's really important. I know it with Paul, Patricia, and I doing Axion Today every Monday. We are putting our faces out there. We are energetic. We're just investors. We're not part of the team. We're not even getting paid. We're so excited about helping people look into something that might totally change their life. And it is changing many, many people's lives. And it's amazing. And there's such a great community on the Discord. You go to the website, you can ask any questions, take your time, but I think you guys will really find it amazing when you see how easy it is, because you don't have to understand crypto. All you got to understand is I'll make interest. I'm going to lock it in for a certain amount of time. Yep, you choose the time, and then you watch every day and you'll see it come in yourself. And quite honestly, you might be surprised at what it does. Axion right now is fractions of a cent. Okay, it's not even a penny. What do you think is going to happen possibly in the future? I don't know. Most cryptos have really good, potential. And usually when cryptos go to like 1 cent and they healthily stay, at that level, they go to the next levels. There was a time, guys, Ethereum was 35 cents. There was a time, guys, when Bitcoin was literally less than $1. It was 50 cents or 30 cents. There was a time actually with Bitcoin that it was fractions of a cent. So who knows? All we know is that this technology and blockchain, these are the biggest appreciating assets the world has ever seen. And quite honestly, it's extraordinary technology that was mysteriously put in place. And quite honestly, I believe it's a real blessing. It's almost like, things get really corrupt in the world and all of a sudden the internet comes along and it represents freedom for a while. And then they kind of it seems like in time, these things come along where it's almost like, wow, this represents freedom and change, and they can't do anything about it. The cool thing about this technology, they can't shut it down. And people that say they're going to shut down the internet forever, good luck on that. They need the internet to kind of do their work and have their controlled network. There's no way they're going to shut down the internet forever. And you don't even have to have your cryptocurrency on the internet. Look into it. It's important.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that people say all the time. Well, if it's on the internet and, the internet goes down, then you've lost everything. I'm like, well, you could go to your bank tomorrow and the door's locked and you could lose everything. Or like what Paul has there, right? You could have what they call a digital wallet, which was something new to me. Like, I didn't know that. Wait a minute. Because, you're a lot of times when you first get into it, you buy it on like Coinbase, let's say, and you just let it sit because you can create a wallet on Coinbase and have whatever cryptos, and they sell a lot of cryptos there. It's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can get a whole bunch of different types of things there. And you have like a separate wallet for each one. So it's just kind of sitting there. But then you're like, dude, get it offline. I'm like, well, what do you mean I can get it offline? It's this learning.
Exactly. It's a learning process because, again, it's like, exchanges or websites get hacked. Bitcoin hasn't been hacked, right? People always make the mistake like, oh, Bitcoin was hacked. No, it wasn't. That exchange got hacked and stole a lot of money. And the whole point is, if you have it on an exchange or on a website, then yes, it could be hacked. You theoretically could lose it. Because again, it's like a bank in the sense that you really don't own it. It's an IOU. It's like really their property. My point is this: if you buy it and you start accumulating it, don't have a lot of it in the exchanges or in that type of system. Have most of it offline, like Paul was showing. It's called cold storage and also hot storage, in the sense that you're looking at getting it offline that is the most secure and the most safe. And we're not saying like Coinbase is bad. It's not at all. But you don't want to accumulate it long term and leave it on Coinbase. You want to buy it, use it, stuff. But when you start saving it, and the nice thing when it comes to staking, you can actually stake with Axion right off of one of those devices. So if you got a Trezor or a Ledger, you start looking into like, good, safe offline storage. If you look into those methods, you can stake and you can throw it away and you're good to go. But you have to start learning about security and really understanding that there is no forgot password when you're taking control of your own money. There's nobody that will like, oh, I'll help you with that password or customer service. You're the customer service. You got to remember it. So write it down, put it in a safe, protect it. Don't ever show your private key to anyone, but you will start learning what real security looks like. It's not relying on companies and people for your own security. You start taking control of it and saying, I'm securing my own money.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point to end on here. We're going to our final break. And so when we come back from the break, we will jump right in to a discussion on Axion staking, and your new show, Axion Today, on YouTube. Stand by. We'll be right back after the break. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba, and we're in the final half-hour segment of the broadcast, and I'm joined by Robbie Davidson and Paul Lindberg. And right before the break, we were talking about, staking and Axion, and you guys have come together and created a platform on YouTube to help people really understand staking, specifically staking with Axion, because there are other places you can stake. You can stake with Hex, with Wise, or there are probably others out there by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you?
Lot, yeah.
What was it about Axion in particular that got you excited, and why did you guys go all in with it? And how did this new partnership that you guys have going? How did all that get started? What's it about?
Take it away, Paul. Take it away.
Well, Robbie talked a little bit about Hex, and so I was also involved. Robbie introduced me to Hex, so I got involved with Hex in December of 2019, and I didn't do a lot of investing there. I put some money in, and started learning about staking and how all that worked. And when Axion came along, and again it was Robbie was like, hey, you got to check this out. Being a big believer in Hex and having stakes out for 15 years. I already understood the value of the staking proposition. And so when the Axion project landed in my lap, seeing that it wasn't like Axion is better than Hex. It's different. It changed some things. And some people might look at it as improvements. Some people might not, whatever. I fell in love with the community real quick. It was a community of people that were acknowledging that this project Axion was inspired by Hex, but was going to be making some changes, and the things that people thought maybe were shortcomings, those things were going to be taken care of with this new project. So there's a lot of very powerful things. And then Robbie and me and Patricia, and us being kind of being friends and that sort of thing, and having a history together, we saw an opportunity, and we really think it was of the Lord to that really kind of brought us together, because Robbie will tell you he talked to a whole bunch of people about this, but it was kind of Patricia and I that we were both like, hey, you know what, with this Axion thing, we really understood Hex, but we didn't go in as much, hindsight being 2020, we probably should have done a lot more, knowing what we knew, at that point in time. So this was summer of 2020. For me, it was late June. And so when Axion came along, I was like, I kind of missed the boat kind of a little bit on Hex. Not that you really would ever miss the boat, but I had a chance to get in at the beginning, and with Axion, I decided that this project was about ready to launch, and so I wasn't going to let that happen again. I was going to really go all in on this, because I understood the power of staking, the power of earning those interests and dividends on a guaranteed basis for a long period of time, which we're talking about here in this fourth segment of the show, understanding how that you can take your tokens, your Axion tokens, and stake those, which essentially burns them and exchange them for shares. And then you get that guaranteed interest rate. And like Robbie was saying, when I came back from my internet issue, you're not getting a guaranteed, you're not getting guaranteed money, but you're getting guaranteed to get more tokens when you end the stake. And so even if the price stayed the same, over 5, 10, 15 years, the point is that you're earning guaranteed more and more tokens when you come out of that stake. And so there's where you get that guaranteed rate of return. So it was really a case of, hey, I kind of missed the boat with Hex, or I wish I would have gotten in big when I first started. I didn't want to let that happen again. And so that's really how it all began.
Very cool. You guys, when you were telling me about it, you're like, what was it, Axion.com or something? The
Axion.network.
.network.
Are you talking about the main Axion website?
Yeah, the general website. And you told me to read the white paper, and I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not that stuff. My eyes glazed over, and I start drooling on myself. I'm like, blah blah blah. I don't know what they're talking about here. All I know is that at the bottom of the page they had Forbes and all these big, what most people consider to be credible financial websites were endorsing it. And so, because you got other people in here going, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this, that. Now I'm like, yeah, but look, Money Matters, Forbes, all these big publications were talking about this. So I was like, well, it must be some kind of legitimacy to it.
Yeah, we're only like 2.5 months old. There's a lot more coming for sure, but that is something that is substantial on the fact that there's just so much exciting happening just in this type of platform, like Paul was mentioning, this whole staking, earning interest for just holding your crypto. There'll be projects out there just by holding, you're going to earn. And, having this innovation that's been developed, it is incredible. Yeah, you can scroll down and you can see, but it's just amazing. When you just read a couple of those articles, guys, go to Forbes, go to Bitcoin, just start looking at understanding a little bit more. You can go to this website, you click on the white page, and if you're the white paper, there are some things in there that will explain it a little bit better for you, the reasons why it was invented, the reasons of what it wants to do. And when you go into the Discord or Telegram, mainly the Discord, you can see everything. Do you know that everything in this community, before any money gets spent out of the dev fund or the development fund, there is a fund in this, it needs to be voted on. Every single thing, no matter if it's marketing, legal, if it's a decision to do this, it's all voted on the community, and it happens. We've been in this for 6 months now, 7 months, Paul. We've been into it, in the pre-launch phase for quite some time. It got more radical and incredible the more we watch it and seeing the transparency of the community. Once people get involved in the community, you'll see it. There's something special about it. I've been in crypto a long time and I've never seen anything like it. There's transparency. The team is amazing. The developers are awesome. The mods are great. Everything. They will spend hours, even in the chat. There's probably a bunch here today. They will help you. They will walk through your questions. And that's why when I first came to Even Axion, I was asking a bunch of questions and they took the time and I was really impressed by their answers. I really was. And I've seen nothing but just incredible things. There's stories we can't even go into tonight. You're going to have to watch Axion today. Watch our first episode, the great crypto comeback. And you will understand how incredible, based on the history and what we've been through over the last 6-7 months, just the story to get where we're at right now. And we're just getting started. We're 2 months old, all right, in this whole journey of about 7 months as far as being launched officially. Guys, it's exciting. Start looking into it. Look to the website. There's a link in the description if you're interested and you understand crypto and you looked into like MetaMask and you understand, transferring money. You're at that point. Then start looking into it. Click on it and stake some. You will see exactly the potential that's there. And really in crypto, understand that, nothing's guaranteed in the sense of like money wise. And yes, everything can go to zero. So we'll be very honest with you and tell you that. But sometimes in life, it's okay to, only invest with money that you don't care about losing, right? Just be careful on that. Again, we're not financial advisors, but there is some really exciting things happening in crypto. And you've got Paul, Patricia, and I that are coming in, and we're really excited about this and kind of follow our journey and see where it goes.
Yeah, very cool. So just like the Coinbase, there's a referral link in the description below. There's also an Axion link there, referral link. Now, what happens when somebody clicks on the Axion referral link? What do they get and what do I get for them using my referral link?
Sure. Yeah, I can handle that. So if somebody clicks on Robbie on your referral link, then they're going to be taken to the Axion staking, the auction platform on the main Axion site. So they'll need to have a MetaMask account set up, which is kind of that next stage. You kind of create the Coinbase account, and then you want to what we recommend is to use MetaMask. It's a very it's a very real turnkey way to be able to move these Ethereum tokens around and to participate in the auction and to stake them and to transfer them back and forth, etc. So once you have the MetaMask account set up, we take your Ethereum that you purchased on Coinbase, and you send that to your MetaMask account, and that's what you're going to connect to the Axion website. So you're going to click on that referral link, and it's going to take you to the Axion auction portal, and then you're going to have an opportunity. So there's two ways that you can turn your Ethereum into Axion tokens, and you have to turn them into Axion tokens if you're going to then stake them. So there's a couple of steps on the process here, and we can understand why this would seem somewhat complex, but just kind of bear with us. And the more you hang around and start to listen and learn, and you start to kind of get the hang of it. But you can enter the auction where you're going to bid your Ethereum, and every day there's an auction, and there's so much Axion that's made available through the mechanics of the project, and it comes from late or early on staking fees and things like that will make that Axion available in the auction. So you bid that Ethereum in there. When the auction closes at the end of the day, then you are awarded your Axion, so you withdraw that. And when you go into the auction, you are going to choose how many days you want to stake it, because you're automatically going to be staked once you come out of that auction. You withdraw it, and then whatever number of days that you pick, and you could stake for a minimum. You have to do at least 60 days if you're using the auction that you're going to be staked, so for 2 months. But you can do more than that. So anywhere from 60 days, you can choose up to 5,555 days, which equates to 15.2 years. So you have that option to do that. And once you withdraw from the auction, then those tokens, it will go into your staking platform. The other way to do it is to go on a decentralized exchange called Uniswap. And that will allow you to convert your Ethereum directly to Axion at the current market price. You do that immediately. So you don't have to wait for the auction to end or something like that. And there is no auto staking. So you can then, once you convert that, you can immediately then stake it. So you can do it anywhere from 1 day, but again, the maximum is 5,555 days. So going back to the referral then, when somebody clicks on your referral link, Rob, and uses that link to go into the auction, they're going to receive a 10% bonus Axion when they come out of that auction, and they're going to be receiving 10%. That's only if they use the auction, not if they go to Uniswap and use the exchange. That's only for the auction. You, Rob, as the referrer, are given 20%. Now, this isn't 20% of your referees, or how do you say that? The person that's using your referral link. You're not taking 20% of their Axion. 20% new Axion tokens then are minted, and those then are staked I guess, are those staked for 60 days now, Robbie?
Yeah, they're 60. Even if you go for 5 years, so if they go for the referral is only 60.
For 60 years to whatever.
It's default 60.
But it defaults to 60 days for you as the referrer. So you're getting, you're getting paid essentially. You're incentivized then to share that referral link, help people get started, show them how to buy, how to get their Axion with their Ethereum, show them how to stake and that sort of thing. And then you're, essentially incentivized to do that. And that's how the ecosystem is going to grow. Mainly, we're going to be helping each other learn how to use the system and how to plan that out. And then you start getting into staking ladders and, how do I plan for the future? How do I build that? And but that's where it goes from there. But that's what that referral link will do. 10% for the person using it and 20% for you, Rob, the one whose link that they're using.
So when you're talking about staking ladders, that's basically the furthest out you can do is what, 555 days or something?
5,555 days. 5,555.
It's quattro cinco. Four fives.
So that's the most you can do, but you can do what's the least? A couple of days.
1 day. One day if you're buying on a Uniswap. We're saying you're auto staked if you go through the auction, but the good news is if you go in the auction, you are getting that bonus on top for clicking on the link, right? But you can decide, if you just wanted to buy it on Uniswap, and then you'd have, if you only wanted to do, say, a 10-day stake for whatever reason. But I'm telling you right now,
maybe less than 60 days, you're going to want
maybe Paul will explain why you probably want to really think about staking for 10 days. Again, some people just want to experiment for that first one. Totally understand, but maybe explain, Paul, exactly what happens, why people in the world, why are they staking so long?
Well, the main thing about this project is this is a this is a long-term deal. You really have to have a long-term perspective on this. I think people that get into this and try to use Axion to trade and are trying to time the market and, buy the lows and sell the highs and that sort of thing. I mean, you'll be able to maybe do that sometimes, but really this is designed for the staker. This is designed for the person that wants to accumulate, and build this up over a period of time. I would call this a get rich slow sort of a program. This is really what the project was designed for, because it really pays dividends to the staking class. That's really where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. And what you're going to learn when you start getting into this is that what the mechanics are is that you take those Axion tokens, and when you stake them, okay, and this is like the CD at the bank. This is the best way to describe it. When you're at the bank and you give them the money and you're going to lock it up for a certain period of time. If you do it for a year, you're going to get a certain interest rate. If you do it for 2 years, you're going to get a little bit better interest rate. You do it for 5 years, you're going to get a little bit better interest rate. So the longer you're willing to lock that money up in the bank in that CD, the better your interest rate is going to be. And you understand that you're going to get penalized at some level if you access that principal, that interest beforehand. So it's the same thing with when you're staking your Axion. You're going to choose how long you're going to do that, and the longer you're willing to lock that up, the bigger rate of return you're going to get, and you're going to get paid more and more Axion tokens. So when you stake your Axion, what essentially happens is you send those tokens to the smart contract, and they are burned. What that means burned is that they disappear. They vanish into the ether. They are gone. Okay, they are no longer in circulation. What you've done then is you exchange those tokens for shares. Okay, shares are how you are paid interest. Okay, so it's very important to understand that shares is what makes this whole thing work. The more shares you have, and if you're interested in really doing well on this project, and Hex is the same way as well, it's all about the shares. The more shares you have, the more interest you're going to earn, because there's a whole pie of interest out there. There's a whole pie of shares. All of the people that are in Axion that are staked, there's one big pie of shares. And so the biggest the percentage of shares that you have is going to dictate how much of that interest that you get that's paid out every single day. Okay, so you want to have more and more shares. The thing you got to keep in mind as well, though, is that every single day that you wait to stake, the shares become a little bit more expensive, So it pays to stake sooner, and it also pays to stake longer, because on top of the shares that you're going to get for your principal, the longer you stake, you're going to get a longer pays better bonus. And what that equates to is about 20% a year. So, and Robbie's got the numbers in his head for the example of staking 2.5 million Axion tokens on day one. And then if you waited even a month later to do it, how much less shares you get going forward. And those were for 5,555 day stakes. So the key is understanding how many shares you're going to get. And the more shares you have, the more you're going to be getting paid that daily interest. When your stake ends, or when it matures, then you're going to end the stake, and you're going to get all of your principal, and you're going to get all of that interest that you earned during that period at the end of the stake. So a lot of people say, well, can I withdraw the interest or whatever that is? No. All of that is paid out at the end of the stakes. You get all your principal back, plus all of the interest you accumulated, and that goes right back into your MetaMask wallet. Mm-hmm. I'll stop there, because that probably will generate a lot of questions or thoughts after kind of understanding just the basics of the mechanics on how to stake.
Yeah, it's almost like come to our show on YouTube like every Monday and ask these questions. And if you, in the meantime, if you really want to know, go to the Discord, the Axion Discord. You'll find it right if you go to axion.network, scroll down to the bottom. I think all the social media links are there. But go to the Discord and just ask these questions. I mean, community, it's almost 10,000 people right now. They will help you with so many different questions. They'll take the time, explain that you watched Rob Skiba's show or you saw Axion today. I got a bunch of questions. I'm interested. I don't know anything about crypto. You watch how patient they are. It's an incredible community. They will take the time with you. And this might seem over your head, but this is a brilliant thing to think about. Hey, all I got to do is lock this stuff up, and I can determine when I do it, and I get more bonuses if I go longer. Yes. And you're going to sit back and you're going to see that interest accumulate. And it is actually really exciting to see what the future holds for these cryptocurrencies that are right now fractions of a penny. Could they be a penny? Could they be $1 in the future? Who knows? But again, we're seeing a lot of cryptos doing that, and there's no reason why these ones don't have the potential to do the same.
That's right. And one thing I just want to add real quick, and this is not live yet, but this is something that is coming down the road. The developers are looking to add this to the Axion project, but what we're hoping to get implemented probably going to be sometime in February. So this is a good time to do your research and understand what's going on with Axion specifically, and potentially, get involved. Is that a part of those dividends that are going to be paid out? What we're trying to get implemented now, and code is being written and going to be implemented in the project, is that part of those dividends that you're getting, obviously you're going to be getting your Axion, but you're also going to be potentially getting Bitcoin just for being a staker as well. So a lot of
twice a week on a special auction
things coming up with Axion. So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah.
So somebody's asking, tell us about WBTC reward.
We just did. That's exactly what he brought up at the exact same time.
That's wrapped Bitcoin, which is basically Bitcoin on the Ethereum network.
It's Bitcoin on the Ethereum network, and it's equivalent. It's the same value, but you can exchange it easier on ETH. It's like being crossed over. But again, that's exciting news, and why we bring that up at the end, because Axion's already amazing, but some of the stuff that's coming is, we're excited. The fact that you're going to actually have, wrap Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on top of your Axion. So there's going to be 2 special auctions a week, because we're talking about 4 regular auctions, just like we've talked about, that you can go in right now. I think there's 250 million Axion tokens that are up for the auction tomorrow, and you can bid into them there. But also, coming soon, there'll be 2 special auctions called the VC auctions, venture capital auctions, and they will basically allow people to bid and get into Axion, get staked. All the stakers will receive rewards for those 2 days in Bitcoin and another cryptocurrency that will different change all the time based on votes and how we're doing the mechanisms. But that alone is like just the cherry on the top. It's going to get very exciting when people realize, you mean I could just stake this Axion and I'm going to make Bitcoin? You are. That's kind of the proposal, and that's what's
Rob,
in place.
We're kind of this is kind of how this is something that I heard, and it kind of makes sense coming from the financial world. We're kind of going from a CD obviously is what is the traditional banking product that we would equate this to, kind of transforming into kind of a mutual fund, where you've got different investments that you are earning or participating in inside of that one project. So that's just going to be, again, this is the revolutionary stuff that goes on inside the crypto space, and that's getting a lot of people really, really excited. And then I would definitely be checking it out soon.
So people are asking for the link to the Axion Discord server. Usually the link's right here, but that didn't give me a link.
To share the link?
Yeah.
Oh, right click on the Axion logo.
Yeah, right click on the logo at the top, Rob.
And then invite people.
Oh, invite people.
And there's the link. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's weird.
You can copy it, and then you should be able to share that.
Put that right into the chat.
Yeah, take your time. Ask any questions. Even just like I'll tell you one thing. People come in and say, "I'm sorry, this is probably a stupid question." They're like, "Listen, there is no stupid questions. You will find love, support, and they will take the time." And again, like, man, just take your time, look into it. It is interesting that people sometimes don't know where to start. And honestly, a community like this will even help you understand even Bitcoin or ETH. It's not all about just this one. You should be diversified. You should look in. You should probably have some Bitcoin and ETH and look into these other things. There's huge potential coming. And it doesn't take a lot. Like we were talking before, it doesn't take a lot, but it definitely can turn into, an incredible amount in the future. And what we're seeing with all this innovation, and you haven't seen anything yet as far as the headlines, but again, it comes in ebbs and flows. And also along the journey, don't get emotional, because it's not like this stuff's always going to go up. It doesn't. It actually comes down. But long term, if you're looking for the future and security and savings, maybe it might be smart to put some crypto away that not only are you going to have for savings, but you're going to earn interest all the way.
Right on. You're muted, Rob.
And I got to get used to this StreamYard thing. I apologize. StreamYard. I'm a StreamYard virgin. And I'm new to all this other stuff too, man. I had a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions, frankly, about Axion. But I'll make a confession here. When I was looking at the staking, I wasn't really paying attention the way it said.
You're going to tell the story.
Yeah, I'm going to tell the story.
Nice. This is a great story for anyone here from Axion.
Yeah, I'm gonna stake 2,000. and Robbie's not saying anything, and I'm thinking 2,000 US. You know, I'm gonna take
USD.
Take USD. I'm going to say USD. Okay, let me just share. This is one of those websites that allows you to see how much it's worth in USD. So I'm staking. Like I staked 2,000 Axion, 57 cents. Okay.
He did like 10. You're at 9 when we finally figured it out. I was like, oh dear.
I was doing the ladder thing, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll stake for 15 years. I'll stake for 10 years. I'll stake for 5 years. And I'm thinking, I'm splitting.
Now that's a staking ladder.
We found out what was the smallest stake when we started laughing. We were laughing so hard because honestly it was so funny. But then all of a sudden it was like, dude, I got a stake here for 11 cents.
It was like 500. It was 14 cents, but it cost me like $20 in gas.
To stake it and gas fees. That's a whole other discussion. Is the gas fees again, guys? When you do these stakes, there's going to be a fee when you do it, and there'll be a fee when you exit those, and that's a whole other matter. But there is a cost, and you're going to need extra ETH. So if you buy ETH and you want to buy Axion, make sure that you always have some ETH in your wallet because it's a thing called gas fees. It's what kind of the miners in the ETH network get for all of these things taking place. So you're going to need gas fees, which again sometimes they can be $20 or $30 a pop. Sometimes they're more, sometimes they're less. It just depends on how congested and busy the network is. But understand there's a fee to stake. There's a fee to go in the auction. There's a fee to get out. There's a fee to unstake. That's the only time. But it comes with the territory. And sometimes it can be very cheap and sometimes it can be very expensive. Just depends kind of what the network's doing.
All right. Well, we got about a minute left of the broadcast. So I just want to refer everybody to your YouTube channel, Axion Today. It looks like how many episodes you got up? Eight episodes.
Yeah, we're at 8 on Monday. It's going to be with Jeff Kurdakis. He's the CEO from TrustSwap, which is another incredible project. There's a lot of synergies happening with TrustSwap and Axion. And as Paul mentioned, with Connect Financial, the first true Visa credit card that you'll actually be having credit based on your crypto. What's really exciting about it is Axion is the first the first crypto to be launched as far as the announcement, as far as being able to be put on that card. I believe that TrustSwap and other ones are also being selected as far as kind of a basket of ones like Bitcoin and other ones that are going to be used for collateral. But Axion, interesting enough, got to be the first. So we have a few exclusives and we got some exciting stuff coming up in the future. Just come in, read the announcements, go back, even right back to June of last year and see how this project all came together. If you go into the announcements on Discord, you can follow the whole journey. And I'll tell you one thing, I've done it a few times because it is amazing. I recommend anyone, if you get interested, go through the journey from June and read every one of those announcements and see how this whole thing was just an idea and where it is now with just an amazing community, awesome dev team, the founder, incredible. Everything about it is coming together and the future looking real bright, looking really good.
Awesome. Well, that takes us right to the end here. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the Revolutionary Radio Project. Thank you guys. And everybody check out Axion Today on YouTube, and we will see you back next week on the Revolutionary Radio Project. Good night, everybody.